So at this time, trustees, I'm going to call this meeting to order. Welcome to our July the 2nd, 2024 board meeting, open session. And at this time, I'm just going to ask us to able to go straight to a land acknowledgement, followed by our national anthems. And when we go to our national anthem, I'm going to ask everyone to stand, please.
The land upon which we work, live, and sustain ourselves is the ancestral and treaty lands of the Michizagig Anishinaabe, also known today as the Mississaugas of the Credit, the rightful caretakers and title holders of this land. We also recognize the rich pre-contact history and relationships which include the Anishinaabe and the Ongwe-Hongwe.
Since European contact, this land continues to be home to indigenous and non-indigenous peoples. As responsible community members, we value the diversity, dignity, and worth of all people.
Colonialism displaced and dispossessed indigenous peoples of their ancestral land
and continues to deny their basic human rights, dignities, and freedoms.
We are committed to learning true history to reconcile, make reparations, and fulfill our treaty obligations to the original peoples and our collective responsibilities to the lands, water, animals, and each other for future generations.
Thank you. I'm going to move to item 4 on our agenda. That's approval of our agenda. Trustee Bailey, Trustee Benjamin is moving it for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And the declaration of conflict of interest. I'm seeing none. I'm going to move to item 6, which is our staff recognition. And at this time, I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Johal.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair Green, and through you. Each month, the Peel District School Board recognizes the staff members who are retiring or have recently retired. Today, we are happy to recognize over 26 staff members who are retiring from service. Among them are 1 vice principal, 19 classroom teachers, 1 elementary principal, 1 designated early childhood educator, 1 office manager, 2 office assistants, 1 special language pathologist. All names and titles of the retirees are displayed on the screen here. We thank all the retirees for their service and dedication to the board, students, families, and the community. It is through the collective work and efforts of our staff that make a positive difference in the lives of our students, their families, and the communities. Your commitment to help each student achieve to the best of their ability is appreciated. We wish the very best for your happy retirement. Congratulations, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, so putting that on the floor, Trustee Av and Trustee Johal. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Tonight, under the chair announcement, we have some good news, and I've decided tonight to divvy up the duties and responsibility around the table. So Trustee Cameron, is going to speak to us about good news. And I'm going to ask the technical team to also display the name and the information on the board behind us. Go ahead, Trustee Cameron.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I would like to share some incredible news that exemplifies the amazing talent graduating from the Peel District School Board. Schulich Leader Scholarships are Canada's most coveted undergraduate STEM scholarships. Across Canada each year, 100 scholarships are awarded to secondary school graduates enrolling in science, technology, engineering, and math program at 20 partner universities across Canada. There are engineering scholarships valued at $120,000 and science and math scholarships valued at $100,000. Every secondary school in Canada can nominate one graduating student each year to apply for the scholarship. Out of the 100 scholarships distributed across Canada this year, 5 were awarded to the Peel District School Board students. Receiving the engineering scholarships valued at $120,000 each are the following students. From Chinguacousy Secondary School, Anush Mataya. Anush will be studying engineering at the University of British Columbia. From Humberview Secondary School, Luca Iacobelli. Luca will be studying engineering at McMaster University. And from Stephen Lewis Secondary School, Salma Al Gohari. Salma will be studying engineering at the University of Waterloo. Receiving the science, technology, or math scholarships valued at $100,000 each are the following. From Turner Fenton Secondary School, Aditya Makar. Aditya will be studying mathematics at the University of Waterloo. From Lincoln M. Alexander Secondary School, Mohammed Gangat. Mohammed will be studying honors integrated science at McMaster University. We are so proud of everything these students have accomplished, as well as all of the students who have graduated this year, and we wish all of them continued success in their academic career journeys. Please join me in a round of applause for this year's grads.
And to add on to that good news, thank you, Trustee Cameron. Just to let you know, I learned that we had the Algoma LEAP program graduation recently, and I was there along with fellow trustees, many trustees that was there. I can't remember all that was there, so I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I'm going to say many trustees and superintendent was there to celebrate with the student. And I learned recently that 11 of those students will be also receiving $6,000 towards their tuition fee because they have chosen to go to Algoma University. So that's an amazing, these days university fee is so expensive, and to get a push that of $6,000 is quite a bit. And just on Sunday evening, also myself, the director, Superintendent Alvin, Trustee Bailey, Superintendent Ford, and some principal. We had a couple principal and 2 graduation coach. We had the opportunity to attend the Black Alliance Scholarship Award, wherein that 3 of our students from Peel, I think 1 from North Park, 1 from Chinguacousy, and 1 from Lincoln was receiving scholarship, and we were all there to celebrate with them and cheer them on. So some amazing stuff is happening in our board, and this is just a tip of the iceberg. Just to say, just to put it out there, that I am so proud of the accomplishment of this board under the leadership of our director, and working alongside her with her staff, her senior staff, and all the trustees together, working hands in hands to make sure that we are the best board in the province. And I can't say how much I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, putting that on the floor for me, Trustee David, Trustee Brad McDonald. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. We don't got any student trustee report tonight. We got 2 student trustees that are appointed to external organization from this board, and that has a small report. I'm going to turn to Trustee Benjamin first, and then I'm going to go to Trustee Davey after.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. This is a report from PSARTS, that is Peel Safe and Active Routes to School. I am the trustee member of the PDSB for the SARTS Committee of Mississauga. It was a great experience to attend the regular meetings and workshops for leaders representing various member organizations in the region of Peel. The challenges faced by the schools, students, staff, parents, as well as the community around the schools revolves around four main issues: traffic congestion, pedestrian facilities and safety, winter maintenance, and traffic violations. The committee offers free bike safety workshops for students from grade 2 to 6, organizes regular school walking challenges and events like bike roll, scootering, and walk to school or bus stop. And this involves the whole school, staff, students, parents, as well as the public health nurse. Participation in these challenges is a good way to encourage our students to stay healthy, socialize with friends, help the environment, as well as ease traffic congestion in the neighborhoods. A family travel survey was also conducted in schools that participated to identify the problems faced by individual schools. The results of these surveys will be shared with the PDSB as well as the region of Peel. In February 2024, the Mississauga City Council recognized 2 schools from the PDSB in Ward 5 Mississauga for their commitment to traffic and student safety. They were Darcel Avenue Senior Public School and Nahani Way Public School. According to the SARTS committee, it is important that in each family of schools, we involve everybody from the superintendent down to the principal, staff, students, parents, school councils, and the community in their activities. In this way, we can make active means of transportation and safety initiatives a part of the PDSB way of life. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to take both of them at the same time, so I'm going to move over to Trustee Davey.
Thank you very much, and through you, Mr. Chair. It has been an honor and a privilege to represent this amazing board at the Brampton School Traffic Safety Committee with the City of Brampton. It's a three-way partnership between the City of Brampton, the Dufferin Peel Catholic Board, and of course this wonderful board. We meet every first Thursday of every month in the Brampton City Chambers, their council chambers, and so we had 10 meetings this year. Of course, July and August we take off, but any of our schools that are concerned about traffic safety, either in the morning or in the afternoon, please fill out a site inspection form at the City of Brampton website, and we performed many of these inspections. I had a lot of fun sending my fellow trustees pictures of myself in front of their schools, and it was very productive, and we addressed all sorts of safety issues, and I thank you again for this opportunity to represent this board, and I look forward to doing it again next year. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you both for that report. I'm asked to put them on the table. Trustee Promanelli and Trustee K. McDonald. Okay, all those in favor? Carry. Okay, all right, so I'm gonna move now to item 10, which is from the minutes of our previous board meeting of June the 10th. They're here. Trustee B. McDonald, Trustee Hobbs, putting them on the table for me. Question and concern? All those in favor? Carries. Okay. And we are going to the minutes from the Parents Involvement Committee of February 22nd. Trustee Susan Benjamin, Trustee Jeff Clark. Question and concern? All those in favor? Carries. Okay. Next, Trustee, the Parent Involvement Committee, April the 11th. Again, Trustee Clark and Trustee Benjamin. Question, concern? All those in favor? Carries. Okay, we move down to item 13 on the agenda. It's a motion from the Special Ed Advisory Council of April the 18th. And the motion is here, and it reads, arising from a meeting of the Special Ed Advisory Committee meeting held on the 18th of April. Following recommendation is brought forward to the board for approval that the delegation of Erin Muffin and Ann Coronat revocal one program review, and that the delegation of these two individuals be referred to the director for response. Trustee Hobbs, who else is there? Trustee Clark? Okay, all those in favor? Carry. Okay, so that over to director. Okay, we got a second minutes from the Special Ed Advisory Council of May 28. I'm going to take the minutes first. The minutes are here. Trustee Hobbs and Trustee Clark again. Okay, question and concern? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Okay, and out of that comes a motion, and Trustee Clark. Trustee Hobbs, I turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. This is a bit of a long one, so I ask folks to bear with me as I read a long motion that came from that committee. Arising from a meeting of the Special Education Advisory Committee held May 28, 2024, the following recommendation is brought for board approval. Whereas Ontario Regulation 464/97 states, S11(1), a Special Education Advisory Committee of a board may make recommendations to the board in respect of any matter affecting the establishment, development, and delivery of special education programs and services for exceptional pupils of the board. 2, before making a decision on a recommendation of the committee, the board shall provide an opportunity for the committee to be heard before the board and before any other committee of the board to which the recommendation is referred. The board shall ensure that its Special Education Advisory Committee is provided with the opportunity to participate in the board's annual review under Regulation 306 of the Revised Regulations of Ontario, 1990, of its Special Education Plan. The board shall ensure that its Special Education Advisory Committee is provided with the opportunity to participate in the board's annual budget process under Section 231 of the Act, as the process relates to special education. The board shall ensure that its Special Education Advisory Committee is provided with the opportunity to review the financial statements of the board prepared under Section 252 of the Act, as those statements relate to special education. Whereas the Special Education in Ontario Kindergarten to Grade 12, Part B, Standards for School Boards Special Education Plan states, the Special Education Advisory Committee, SEAC, makes recommendations to the board with respect to any matter affecting the establishment, development, and delivery of special education programs and services for exceptional students of the board, participates in the board's annual review of its special education plan, participates in the board's annual budget process as it relates to special education, reviews the financial statements of the board as they relate to special education, the board's process requirements of the standard. In developing and modifying their special education plan, boards must take into consideration issues and feedback from members of the community, such as parents, members of school councils, community organizations, and students. This public consultation, which takes place with the assistance of the board's Special Education Advisory Committee, must be maintained on a continuous basis throughout the year. Whereas the PDSB Special Education Advisory Committee has only just received the 121-page Special Education Plan outlining the programs and services for students receiving special education for the 2024 to 2025 year, which did not provide sufficient time for true consultation with the SEAC Committee, parents, students, and the public. Whereas the proposed Special Education Plan document reflects the Intermediate Autism Spectrum Disorder Special Education Resources class, full-time, says it will have 8 students, and this shows a lack of compliance with Regulation 298 of the Education Act, which states that the class size for a special education class, full-time for students identified as exceptional communication, autism is 6 students. Whereas the proposed special education plan is incomplete and does not disclose the roles and responsibilities associated with the former role of assistive technology resource teacher, nor does it explain what happened to the service or how the special education allocation, SEA, funds are allocated. Whereas the proposed special education plan indicates changes in service model delivery from some exceptionalities, communication classes and primary gifted contained classes to name two. Whereas the proposed special education plan omits any results or mentions of internal reviews or programs, vocational one review. Whereas the proposed special education plan reflects an outdated board accessibility plan for students with disabilities. Therefore, be it resolved that the Board of Trustees be made aware of the current proposal, Special Education Plan 2024 to 2025, was not developed in accordance with Regulation 464, which states that SEAC has the right to be consulted in the development of the special education plan, nor does it comply with Regulation 298 regarding the size of special education classes. And that the Board of Trustees should not vote to pass a special education plan, nor submit it to the Ministry of Education in its current form. That the board provide a plan for proper timely consultation for the special education plan 2024-2025 year, which includes transparency and data to enable the Special Education Advisory Committee to perform their legislative duties. That concludes the motion that came out of that committee.
Okay. All right, thank you. Thank you, Trustee Alves. Trustee, I need to be clear and what the group, SEAC, is asking for. They're asking us to basically reject the plan that was presented to them by the board staff. This is what this motion is asking for. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Trustee Jill, is going to put it, and Trustee Alves is going to put it on the floor for me so that people can speak to it, okay? All right, and I saw, if I'm not right, I saw Trustee K. McDonald hands up.
They're just going to ask to be in a recorded vote.
Okay. Okay, she's asking for a recorded vote. Okay, just a minute. Trustee K. McDonald is asking for a recorded vote. I have to ask the rest of the trustees, are you in agreement with a recorded vote? Those in favor of a recorded vote, raise your hand, please. Okay. Yeah, it's a recast. Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. That's fine. Thank you for that, Brett. Okay. All right. Okay. So now it's on the floor. Trustee, no, let me go there and I'll come to you. So Trustee Alves first and then Trustee Bailey then.
Thank you, Chairman. So I'd like to add some color to this just to help my colleagues that might not have been on that committee understand what's before us. So we had a Special Education Advisory Committee meeting where staff came to us for a consultation process. And staff said, hey, we have the special education plan and we look to acquire your input. We had, in my opinion, a sufficient number of days to review that plan. It was my opinion and I was able to read it and I thought, it was perfectly reasonable. But there were members of the committee that disagreed with that point of view and they would have liked more time. When this motion was written, the special education plan was incomplete. The special education plan had come to us for initial consultation. Now that the board had, the committee has provided that consultation, staff and administrators are going to work, and I know they have, to provide responses to a lot of the questions that the committee had. So with the utmost respect to the member of the committee whom put this motion together, I disagree with it. I don't think that it was put together in a timely manner, because they hadn't seen the 2024 to 2025 special education plan. We are only going to see that at the next SEAC meeting. So I would strongly recommend my colleagues to review this quite carefully, as I don't believe that passing this would be helpful. I think we have a very reasonable 2024 to 2025 special education plan, but I'll leave that with you. I hope that little bit helps color in some context. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Trustee Bailey.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Trustee Alves, because that answers some of the questions. So I guess I can ask through you or the staff, how much time were the committee given? Were they given the the standard amount of time for document review.
Okay. All right. I'm going to turn it over to Associate Director De Silva.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for that question, Trustee Bailey, and through you, Chair. I just want to clarify the report itself has not been brought to the Board of Trustees. It has been delayed until August. So I think I think the motion would need to be deferred, if anything, because we haven't brought it forward. To answer your question, Trustee Bailey, we did provide, as Trustee Alves had shared, about can't remember exactly, about 4 or 5 weeks to review the special education plan. And with that, we weren't in compliance. We weren't using the ministry format, so we had significant work to get caught up on that regard. So it looked like a lot with respect to what we were providing, but we needed to get caught up with respect to where we were in compliance with the ministry. Given that, when the members of SEAC did suggest that they wanted more time, we looked into it, we reached out to the ministry, they provided that time, and we gave that time for SEAC members to provide input. We received 55 pages of feedback from the SEAC committee, which we are currently actioning, hence we're trying to delay bringing that report forward until August so that we can do all the fulsome work that is required with respect to some of those requests.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. And through you, Chair, first of all, thank you, Trustee Alves, for helping us all understand sort of more of the context behind what happened here. I was virtually part of that meeting, and I appreciate more of the conversation behind this. Through you, Chair, AD De Silva, could you help us as a Board of Trustees understand specifically how members of SEAC are asking for their roles to change in practice if this motion were to go through? Because this motion, as I understand it, would change the way that SEAC functions as a committee of the board. And it seems like they're asking for more oversight than they currently have when it comes to sort of the process in the way that the committee functions. So I'm just curious how that would function for you in operations.
Sure, and through you, Chair, Trustee Promole, I would have to look into the dynamics of what they're requesting with respect to their function. But we did do a jurisdictional scan around the province, around what consultation looked like in other boards. And we were above and beyond what most boards are doing with respect to what that consultation looks like. We recognize that there were some changes because of the financial constraints that we were under around changing programs and so on and so forth. So we understand that, and those pieces took place prior to the SEAC report coming to SEAC, the committee meeting. So we understand that, and we want to work with SEAC in conjunction, hand in hand, because we understand that they're valuable community members and a great conduit to the community in which they represent. And so work has already been done through Superintendent Sakato around building out some timelines, building out opportunities for fulsome discussions around what those plans look like. But from my understanding, I don't think we're trying to change. I'd have to go into it again to look at the fine details around what they've requested, but we wouldn't be looking for changes around their function at this point.
Okay, and thank you so much. That is very helpful. And just as a follow-up through you, Chair, I just want to mention, I'm not a trustee member of the SEAC committee, but I do try to sit in on that committee as often as I can, and I know how fortunate that we are that we have so many community members who do, give their time so frequently, and recognizing how busy so many of their schedules are too, and their perspective and feedback has been so valuable. I know in the work that I do in some of my schools, and so I am so appreciative of everything that they do when they come in and they spend that time with us too. And I am blown away that they gave back 55 pages of feedback. So even though I know there was a challenge that was felt with the deadline, thank you to everyone who did take that time and who worked together with the board to make sure that they were able to provide that feedback. I know schedules can be so tough, especially this time of year when we're getting into the spring. So thank you to all of our SEAC members who worked so hard to make sure that they were getting that feedback back. We are just so fortunate that we do have so many parents and community members who do take that extra time and go that extra mile to make sure that we are doing everything we can to work as a board to provide for all of our community members and our students. So I appreciate all the challenges here and the concerns that may have come up, during that meeting, but I am really glad to hear how much feedback did come in. So, okay, thank you so much.
Okay. Trustee Davey.
Hi, Mr. Chair. I was also electronically involved in that, but I was not a member of that committee. But at the end of the day here, I'm asked to not submit a report that I haven't seen, and I just think that's a little. I really can't make a vote on this, so I'm moving to defer this until the August meeting, if that's okay.
Okay. What Trustee Davey is asking is that a deferral, and based on that, I know there's some trustees. Trustee Hobbs is seconding that. Okay. Okay, we have to deal with deferral first. Yeah. Okay, so Trustee Hobbs is seconding the deferral. Okay. Now that the deferral is on the floor, okay. Trustee Hobbs, you want to speak to the deferral? Yeah. Okay. But before I go there, okay, Trustee Davey, are you finished speaking, or do you have anything else to add to the deferral?
Well, and I would like to defer to Trustee Alves because he is actually sitting on that committee, and all the things that they ask for, right. Involvement from the trustees. I mean, that's why we put trustees on that committee. So I'd like to defer this to Trustee Alves if we could. All right.
Okay. Thank you. So Trustee Alves, speak to the deferral, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think that's the best thing to do. I think if we defer it, again, with the utmost respect to the committee member that wrote the motion, while I'm in disagreement with it, I think that it is wise to defer it. Once SEAC has seen the updated special education plan, we may even see, and I can't speak for others, but we might see a different opinion come from it. Maybe we'll have a new motion come from that committee. So I just think it's the best thing to do. If my colleagues would support that tonight, that would be great. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee B. McDonald, speaking to the deferral.
I'll support the deferral, especially around the second item. We haven't seen it. We're not told not to pass it, which if we had a governance officer, I would be actually asking for a ruling on that, because I think it's not possible to tell us not to vote for something we haven't seen, et cetera. So it really should be thrown out. It should be referenced in a specific thing, and then makes a comment in the current form. So what current form? If it was a previous meeting and we're getting a new one, this becomes a moot point. So I think it's a bad worded motion, and deferral allows us to have a report in front of us and allows us to then go to the heart of the intent of the motion and see if the items that are there are addressed. And then as trustees, we do our job and pass the special education plan and as an organization, and submit that to the government as required by the Education Act. Anyway, thank you.
All right, so I'm going to go to Trustee Benjamin, and Trustee Cameron, then Trustee K. McDonald.
Thank you, and through you, Chair, I'm on the committee, and this huge booklet was sent to us, and we had to work on it, with very little time to go through it. So I would like to express my appreciation to Claudine Scucato, the superintendent, and all the work that you put in. And I agree with all the other speakers who say that we need to look into it more deeply, and I totally support the deferral.
Trustee Cameron.
Thank you. Totally in favor of the deferral. I think we should time tag that, though, instead of just saying till August. When in August, or the first meeting in September. I think we should put a time on when this comes back to us. Secondly, I have, through you, Chair, the feedback I have from members in my community is that they felt that they were informed but not consulted, which is different. We know this, right? So I'm not saying that that is what happened. I'm repeating what I've been told as their representative. So I'm totally in favor, sir, of deferring this until the first meeting in September.
I'll go to Paul afterwards. Trustee Kimana.
And a point of order that there are members of SIAC that are saying that they don't see a link to sign into the meeting. So I don't know how we can rectify that because there's no, apparently, I'm told there's no live stream link.
Okay, Timmy, can you talk to the tech, please?
Thank you. And I will be supporting the deferral because I think it's important that trustees, especially if we want to remain relevant, to follow the Education Act and all its regulations. And thank you, Trustee Davies, because I was actually going to put that motion on the floor myself when I spoke. But and I think we're hearing different interpretations about what is enough time. Because Trustee Benjamin, if I heard correctly, said you didn't feel you had enough time, right? And Trustee Al felt you had lots of time. I know many of the SIAC members have consulted me saying they did not have enough time. And again, I was told that it was not a consultation. She said we were being informed, and it's contrary to the Ontario Regulation Act 464/97. I'm repeating, I wrote down exactly what the person said. And I think we should have a true consultation. I don't think SIAC is asking, Trustee Promoni, you meant to comment, it appears that they're asking for something that they are, I wrote down what you said. Oh, asking for more oversight. They're just asking for what is they're entitled to under the Education Act, because whether or not we're doing it correctly before, when you look at what the Education Act actually dictates, that they're not asking for more, from my understanding of reading the Education Act with this section, as also, even if other boards are not doing things the proper way, I think at Peel we should be doing things the proper way, which is following the letter of the law. I think it's a legal requirement by the Education Act, and it's very explicit, and it leaves no room for boards' interpretation of it. I also think that we should have a definite time frame when, and I think that the process should be, the consultation should be ongoing, because again, if you read the Education Act, it's not a matter of just bringing a document give them, they review it. It's an ongoing consultation. So I think we also need to look at what ongoing consultation looks like, and we should be working with SIAC to determine what ongoing consultation looks like. And AD De Silva, in his answer, and I think it was your question, Trustee Promoli, he did say there were changes to place prior to the SIAC consultation. So right then there is also admitting that we are not following the proper due process. So I would like to support the deferral. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Associate Director De Silva, sorry, based on just some of the comments around the table, I'm thinking that our August meeting will be too close. So maybe what you can do, should this deferral pass, and it seems like it will pass, is that we need reasonable time frame for the strategy to be presented so that SIAC can have their time to look it over and to say, okay, all right, we're satisfied, or we're still not satisfied, but have enough time to really work through with it. So maybe at our next board meeting, you can bring a time frame and when this can come back to us. Okay? Is that okay?
Yeah, so through you, Chair, just to be clear, August, we are in a bit of a time crunch. We've requested from the ministry a delay in presenting the report to allow not so much for further feedback, but to the implementation of some of the suggestions. As I said, 55 pages of feedback from committee members. So if I'm hearing you clearly, we are to reach out to the ministry again, potentially to request that we wouldn't be prepared to accept the report at the last week of August, that we would be looking more in September?
Yes. I think that's enough time. Is that okay?
Sorry, I couldn't hear you. My apologies.
No, just one second. Okay.
So I think it's okay for timelines for staff to get it in August, and then for us to see this final in September.
Okay, all right, okay. Thank you. Okay, so yes, so as you were saying, Associate Director De Silva, yes, so that is fine, that SEAC would receive the report at their August meeting, or the end of August, somewhere there.
Correct.
And then we, the trustees, would get it at the September meeting.
At the September meeting. Okay, so if I may, through you, Chair, just defer to Superintendent Sakato. I just don't have those dates in front of me with respect to the initial SEAC meeting for 24-25. Maybe I'll turn it over to...
She's online.
Yep, she's online and she's waiting
And just
to
for,
respond.
just before you speak, Superintendent, just want people to know the line is open, it is streaming. Okay,
thank
so
you. I
don't know how people are not getting on.
Okay, thank you. Over to you.
Yeah, thank you. And through you, Chair, I do want to thank everyone for their comments and feedback. And I do value very much the input of SEAC. I just wanted to reiterate that when we brought the report in May, it was a draft of the special education plan. It was not the plan for review or receipt. It was a draft of the plan so that SEAC members had a chance to review it, make feedback and take comments, and then we made revisions to that based on that. That would have been the report that we would have presented to you, the board, for approval. When we were asked for additional time, we did contact the ministry and they did allow us to delay our submission and offered almost 4 weeks of time. And we did receive, as shared, extensive feedback. So the plan that was sent in originally in May is not the plan that we were going to present to you for approval, because as shared by Trustee Alves and Trustee Benjamin, we did have over 50 pages of feedback. We responded to every single piece of feedback, many of which caused changes and shifts into the special education plan, which shows the consultative nature of our relationship with SEAC. So the plan that we would have submitted included many, many changes based on the feedback of SEAC, and we allowed for that consultative process. So I just wanted to share that to make sure that everybody was clear that those have already been changed and updated and would have been presented to the board for approval at that time. We do not have a scheduled meeting in August. Our first meeting is in September. So up to the board to decide if we are going to delay the submission of our plan until October. Thank you.
What date in September is the next SEAC meeting? Is it before our board meeting?
It's always the third Tuesday of the month. So let me just look at my calendar. I don't have it memorized as of yet, but
Yeah,
so that
so-
should
so-
mean that is the 17th, September
Okay,
17th.
so it is before a board meeting, so I think there's time there to get that done and for it to still come to the September board meeting. Okay? Thank you. All right. Yeah. Okay. All right. So trustees, we have the deferral on the table. This time I'm going to call the vote on the deferral. So all those in favor of the deferral, because we had asked for a recorded vote. We had asked for that. It was on the original motion. Sorry, the original, but on the deferral, all those in favor of the deferral, raise your hands. Look like it's unanimous. Okay, thank you. Carries. Okay. So what that does to the original motion on the floor? Dies. Yep. Okay, thank you all for that. Okay. So now we will move to 11.5, which is our Fiscal Building Financial Building Committee of June 5th. Trustee Cameron, Trustee Sapal. Okay. Any question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Okay. Moving down to 11.6, our audited minutes of June the 6th. Trustee Davy and Trustee Alves. Any question, concern? See none. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. So we're going to move down to a policy and governance meeting minutes of June the 19th. The minutes are here. Trustee Brad McDonald, who else is on that? Trustee Benjamin. Okay. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. Out of that, we also have a motion, and the chair of that committee has that motion. He's going to read it for me.
Yeah, thank you. Arising from the meeting of the Governance and Policy Committee held on June 19, 2024, the following recommendations are for board approval. 1, advertisement goods or services policy repeal, that the advertisement good and service policy, policy 1, attached in appendix 1 be repealed. Number 2, occupational health and safety policy 2024, that the occupational safety policy 2024 attached in appendix 1 be approved with the effective date September 15th, 2024. Item 3, fundraising policy. Point 1, that the existing partnership fundraising policy 5 attached at appendix 2 be repealed. Item 2, that the revised fundraising policy attached as appendix 1 be approved. Item 4, education partnerships policy, that the revised educational partnership policy attached as appendix A be approved. Item 5, active as sustainable school transportation charter, that the adoption of an active and sustainable school transportation ASST charter attached as appendix 1 be approved. Item 6, regional learning choice program policy, that it be revised, the regional learning choice program policy attached appendix 1 be approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, so the motion is here. Trustee Brad McDonald put it on the floor, and Trustee Alves is seconded. All those in favor? Right. You have something to say?
Yeah.
Okay, just before I call the vote, there is a request to speak. Trustee came out now.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. Under the Regional Learning Choices programs, under highlights, it says changes have been made to ensure that the revived policy addresses concerns raised in the ministry review, the We Rise Together 2.0 Black Student Success Strategy, and is responsive to the community feedback based on consultations. So I just was wondering, when they say responsive to community feedback, what do they mean by that? And based on consultations, on how often are these consultations?
So I personally can't tell you how often the consultation being done, but I personally know the consultation be done. And I can talk to, turn it to Director Suru, and she can turn it to AD Logan to speak to that. But I know that there is a lot of work taking place.
Thank you, and through your chair, I'll ask AD Camille Logan to respond, please.
Through you, Chair. Thank you, Director Swaroop. And Trustee Kathy McDonald, can you just clarify your question for me, just so I completely make sure that I understand the question?
Yeah, so the last part of the third bullet says, is responsive to the community feedback, someone in which community, and based on consultations. And I want to know what those consultations look like and how often they are.
In terms of review of the policy?
Yes.
And so in engaging in any of the policy reviews, there's an approach that's taken that we work with legal and governance services, and also working with the policy review piece in terms of ensuring that we follow the framework that has been outlined in terms of reaching out to online as one piece, in terms of seeking clarification from the board website, and then also engaging in consultation with the appropriate advisory committees. For example, in some cases, it may be the PIC advisory committee, and then also engaging in access, whether it be the associations in terms of the the principal associations as an example. So there are opportunities in terms of a consultation plan that is engaged with particular policies. So I don't have the whole consultation plan outlined for you, but there is a way in which we actively engage in a process to get information collectively from the system.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, I'll go back to calling the vote. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you. Okay, all right. So one of the main reasons why we're here today is our 2024-2025 budget. And I got a few remarks that I would like to make, and then I'm going to turn it over for director to make her remarks. And then we're going to move to Associate Director Gill to give us an overview of the budget, and then we're going to have the budget motion. Okay, so first I would like to thank the staff here at Peel District School Board, the team who worked so hard and put in this budget together. To my fellow trustees, it has been an honor and a pleasure to work with you and all to continue building the public education system in Peel that we can be proud of. Being fiscal responsible board, it is important that we pass a balanced budget today, and that I do want to address the shortfall that we continue to experience low level for our board and for our student. Every year, we have to make difficult decisions to balance the budget. This year is no different. With that said, the Peel District School Board sets out a strategic vision that will begin rolling out in the next few months or in the next few school year to prepare a Peel student for a bright future that focus on inclusion, innovation, and empowerment. This hand must work. We must work and will continue to work to bring these programs and idea to fruition. In partnership with real world experience, we will have, so we can have a lasting impact on our students and their lives in the region of Peel. But we know this will also take place. We also will take great pleasure and the resource currently available to us here at Peel. But however, we continue to call on the Ministry of Education to step up to the plate and provide Peel Board with the appropriate funding to close the gap so that we will have the funding that we need to provide the resource that we need here at Peel, that we can support our students so that they can reach their full potential in life. It is critical that we have these funding to support and provide opportunity for all our students, for our staff, and ensure that our classrooms are safe and that the well-being of others is looked after. If the ministry would step up to the plate and provide the fair share of funding for Peel, we could address many areas that needs to be addressed, such as our EAs and TAs shortfall, our attrition shortfall, and many extracurricular activity that needs to be in the school to be part of the process of putting student first. There's a number of resources that I could think of this evening, but for this afternoon, I want to say to the ministry, providing Peel the priority funding so that we as a board can continue supporting our student and ensure that our students have a bright future. We're calling on the ministry to step up to the plate and provide the fair share for Peel so that we don't have to keep coming to the table every year, taking from our reserve to balance our budget and keep coming to the table asking for more. If we could only have what is rightfully belong to us, then our board could function appropriately without we come with arms stretched out. So we call on the ministry. Hope that you're listening tonight to everything that I have to say, the director have to say, and our budget, and to look. And it's about time we're asking you to step up to the plate, do your part, so that we can do our part. Thank you. I'll ask Trustee Cameron and Trustee Clark to put this on the floor for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Okay, and I'll move to the director's comment.
Thank you, Chair Green. Good evening, everyone. I'm pleased to present the 2024-2025 proposed balanced budget of $2,126,117,058 for the Peel District School Board. This budget confirms the board's unwavering commitment in building and sustaining a positive and inclusive learning environment where every student has the support and opportunities to reach their maximum potential. Over the past 4 years, the board has experienced a decline in enrollment, while at the same time addressing the greater support needs of marginalized and vulnerable students. We are pleased that the ministry has recognized some of these challenges and has made changes through formula adjustments, phasing in of more current census data and adjustments to envelope restrictions. Additionally, the revised transportation allocation has provided the board an opportunity to phase in elementary and secondary transportation for our regional programs. This ensures accessibility and choice for all students. Furthermore, the ministry's adjustment of staffing benchmarks to incorporate collective bargaining obligations and to recognize inflationary pressures have supported our ability to maintain the high quality of education and support services provided by the board. The restructured version of the former Grants for Student Needs, GSN, now called Core Education Funding, or Core Ed, is a welcome change as it is simpler to understand and will allow for improved transparency and accountability across the province. The development of the 2024-2025 budget involved a rigorous consultation process. We engaged with employee group leaders, the senior leadership team, and trustees to gather insights and ensure comprehensive planning. Feedback from parents, guardians, school council members, students, and community stakeholders were also solicited through an online survey. Opportunities for delegation were provided through the Physical Planning, Finance, and Building Committee, ensuring diverse perspectives were considered. Given funding constraints, our priorities in this budget cycle were clear. We focused on supporting our most vulnerable students, advancing equity and inclusion initiatives, maintaining high expectations for student achievement, fostering a safe and positive learning climate, and addressing increased cost pressures due to inflation. Guided by our consultation process, the approved 2024-2025 budget enhancements are outlined on page 9 of the budget book. With our operating budget focused on meeting program delivery, the board is requested to approve the use of $10,956,548 from reserves to support the board's operating shortfall. The board's student-focused budget for the 2024-2025 underscores our commitment to fiscal responsibility while prioritizing student achievement and excellence in the classroom. I extend my appreciation to the senior team for their contributions and to those community members, parents, and staff who provided budget input through our online survey, and to the Finance Support Services team for their diligent efforts in crafting this year's budget book. And I want to thank the Board of Trustees for their collaborative effort in working with staff and the support for creating efficiency and accountability. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Davy and Trustee Jill will put this on the floor for me. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. Now, I'll turn it over to you, Director Suru, to introduce Associate Director Gill.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, Chair. And through you, I would ask now COO and AD Jaspal Gill to give an overview of the budget.
Thank you, Director Sproop, and through you, Chair Green. Before I start with my presentation, I want to acknowledge the commitment and leadership of the senior team to develop this proposed budget. I would also like to thank Controller Letitia Charles and our finance staff for their outstanding work over the last few months in the development of the budget. Next slide, please. For school boards, enrollment is a key driver for staffing, determining accommodation needs, and most of the ministry funding is based on enrollment, normally referred to as average daily enrollment or ADE. The graph shows the enrollment trend over the last 10 years. Our board has experienced enrollment growth until the year 2019 and 1920. For 2024-25 school year, enrollment projection indicates that the elementary panel will see a decline of 1,485 students, and the secondary panel a decline of 326 students. Overall, our system will see a decline of 1,811 students compared to last year's estimates, which represents a 1.2% decline. Since 2019-20 school year, the board's overall enrollment has declined by 9,773 students, representing a 6.2% decline. Next slide, please. Each year, normally in the spring, the Ministry of Education announces the funding for the following school year. Most of the ministry funding comes to school boards through various grants. For the 2024-25 school year, overall provincially, the funding is projected to be $28.6 billion, an increase of $745 million or 2% compared to 2023-24 year. Next slide, please. As part of the funding announcement, Ministry introduced the changes to the various fundings it provides to school boards. Some of the specific changes being implemented for 2024-25 year include: as part of the Better Schools and Education Outcomes Act, the ministry undertook a review of the education funding to support the goals of streamlining the funding formula, to make it simpler to understand, and strengthening school board accountability with minimal redistributive funding impacts to school boards. The funding formula review has resulted in it being significantly restructured. The new model simplifies the number of grants from 18 in grants for student needs to 6 funds, and from 77 allocations to 28 allocations within the new core ed model to make it easier to understand. Renames the funding model to ensure the name matches its intended purposes. Revises the enveloping structure to bring greater clarity to how funding is to be used to support student achievement and well-being. Expands accountability through the creation of a new school board financial transparency tool, which includes an easy-to-follow financial dashboard for each school board. Regarding student transportation, based on enrollment for the 2023-24 school year, routing simulations were conducted to determine the optimal number of routes, daily distance, and time needed for a school board based on common reference standards. Funding benchmarks have been updated for buses, and new benchmarks have been introduced for contracted special purpose vehicles and taxis. Based on this update, our board will receive an additional $12.8 million in 2024-25 compared to 2023-24 for student transportation. Funding for special incident portion SIP component within the Special Education Fund will be based on an interim formula as the ministry continues to work towards a new approach for future years. This interim approach will help reduce the administrative burden associated with the previous SIP claims process. SIP funding for the 2024-25 school year will be allocated based on 2023-24 amounts with adjustment for benchmark updates. Beginning in 2024-25, specialized equipment allocation funding will be allocated to school boards through two components. A formula component for any equipment type and training, maintenance, and repairs related to that equipment for students with special needs. A claim-based component for any single item costing $5,000 or more before taxes for an individual student with special education needs. The Safe and Clean Schools Supplement introduced in 2023-24 was related to COVID-19 and is now being discontinued as normal operations at school boards have resumed. Next slide, please. Salary benchmarks and other funding elements will be updated to reflect changes as per recently negotiated central collective agreements as well as remedy agreements relating to Bill 124. Ministry will continue to provide Sports for Student funds for additional staffing to support the local learning needs of students. All funds to be used consistent with the collective agreement obligations. To keep up with the cost, there will be a 2% cost update to assist school boards in managing the increase in commodity prices such as hydro, natural gas, insurance, and other costs. In 2024-25, the ministry will begin a 5-year phase-in for 2021 Statistics Canada census update. Using the most recent available census data will help ensure that the funding better reflects and supports the on-the-ground needs of school boards. The 5-year phase-in is designed to allow school boards time to adjust cost structures and to align with the availability of census data from Statistics Canada for implementation of future updates. In addition to that, the ministry is providing one-time funding to ensure no school board is negatively affected by the net impacts of the changes in the first year of the implementation. For our board, this will impact diversity in English language learners funding, demographic needs component funding, as well as the measures of variability and special education statistical prediction model components of the special education funding. Next slide, please. So based on the consultation with trustees, senior administration, and the input received from various unions, federations, school councils, and the public, staff has developed a proposed balanced budget. Given funding constraints, majority of the budget focused on classroom and learning resources and on priority areas such as special education, indigenous education, mental health and wellness, and student safety and well-being. Next two slides highlight some of the enhancements included in the proposed budget. The proposed budget will include 125 permanent educational assistants to support students with special needs, as well as students transitioning into mainstream class settings. Additional 4 mental health and social workers to meet individual counseling needs, build system capacity, and to reduce caseload for existing staff so that more support can be provided to students and families. 1 additional behavior consultant to address students with significant and complex portraits, reduce student-specific safety training, wait lists, and to create greater conditions for safety and success in schools. Proposed budget also have 2 instructional coaches to support the implementation and monitoring of the board's obligation to the Truth and Reconciliation Commission calls to action and upholding the rights of Indigenous people. 1 dedicated resource teacher per pathways, transitions, and dual credit program to ensure that Indigenous students receive the support they need to navigate through challenges and access opportunities for higher education. 1 instructional coach to continue to support the effective implementation and monitoring of the actions of the We Rise Together Black Student Success Strategy. Proposed budget also includes 5 resource teachers to provide a timely and appropriate response to school teams who require assistance in responding to an incident of concerning student behavior in the school or where a community incident has a negative impact on the school climate. 2 additional resource teachers, 1 to support the growth of Counting on You program, and the other to support the specialist high schools, high skills major program. 2 additional graduation coaches to work in our secondary schools to support the learning and well-being needs of students. Next slide, please. Oh no, can you go back on the previous slide, please? Yeah, thank you. The proposed budget also includes $175,000 for the peer support program to offer newly appointed principals with on-site guidance and mentorship centered around addressing operational and procedural aspects inherent to effective school management, and to offer staff in the vice principal promotion pool release time for on-the-job learning with an experienced vice principal mentor with a focus on hands-on engagement in administrative tasks, classroom interactions, and leadership meetings. Next slide, please. So the proposed budget also includes $400,000 for leading education innovation projects in schools, an additional $397,000 for various e-resources such as Digital Human Library, Discover Destiny, and Take Action for Reconciliation. There are additional $368,000 funding to cover expenses for software essential to the board's staffing and recruitment functions, as well as to promote job posting to reach a large group of qualified and diverse candidates. $126,000 set aside for hazardous-based disposal services program, personal protective equipment, and an employee digital wellness platform. For technology, additional funding of $311,000 for the purchase of various software such as SmartFind Express, RISE, eBase work order system, as well as a digital document delivery program for delivery of report cards and documents to parents, students, and staff. For facilities area, additional $135,000 for the supply of gasoline to schools for grounds equipment, and $35,000 for the purchase and licensing of app-based GPS devices for board fleet. Next slide, please. To look into funding shortfall for special education. This slide shows the funding gap for the last 5 years. In 2024-25, the funding gap is projected to increase to approximately 43.6 million as the needs for special education students continue to grow. Over the last 5 years, the funding has increased by 4.9%, and at the same time, our expenses have increased by 18.1%, resulting in a projected gap of approximately 43.6 million for the 2024-25 school year. Next slide, please. So if we look at our operating expenditures by area, approximately 79% are directly related to school expenditures. 4.8% are related to central support for schools, 8% related to facilities, 3.3% related to student transportation, and 4.9% related to administration. Next slide, please. Now, if we look at operating expenditures by type of expenditure, 82.3% of our expenditures are related to staff salaries and benefit costs, 11.5% related to non-staffing costs, 1.1% related to interest charges on long-term debt, and 4.9% related to amortization of our capital assets. Next slide, please. Looking further into staffing cost, approximately 54.5% are related to teachers, 9.6% to educational assistants and early childhood educators, 3.6% to principals and vice principals, 2.2% related to school office support staff, 2.7% to our PSSP staff, 5.1% related to custodial and maintenance state staff, 0.8% to continuing education staff, and 3.9% related to trustees, board administration, director, superintendent, transportation staff. Next slide, please. Looking further into non-staffing cost, 3% of the costs are related to student transportation, 1% to facilities maintenance, another 1.1% related to school supplies, 1.5% related to technology, 1.4% to utility costs, 0.6% related to administration, and 1.4% of the costs are related to school generated funds. Next slide, please. This slide compares per pupil funding of large urban boards. Our board's per pupil amount for 2024-25 is projected to be $13,348, which is in the middle of per pupil funding of other large urban boards. So thank you, Chair Green. Happy to respond to any questions.
Again, Associate Director Gill, on behalf of the entire Board of Trustees, before I put this on the floor, please pass on our thanks and appreciation to Controller Charles and our entire team. I know this is not easy. We all sat there, we all been through it, and you make it look so easy for us. And even the last night when we were in there trying to decide on what to cut and what not to cut, your support was so critical in helping us to make those decisions. So I want to say thank you from this entire Board of Trustees. We appreciate you and your staff for helping us to get to this point, because this is one of the biggest piece of our role and our responsibility as a Board of Trustees. So thank you, sir. I'm going to ask my good friend to my right, Trustee Promoli, and Trustee Alves to put it on the floor for me. And then just to approve the presentation, and then we're going to go into the budget motion. All those in favor? Carries. Thank you. And now? Yes.
Before you put the motion on the floor, are we allowed to ask questions based on the presentation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I did say that. I don't know if you heard me.
I did, but you just said you're putting the motion on the floor. That's what you just said.
Okay. No. Do you have a question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. No, because I did put it out there.
Okay.
Okay.
I can go ahead now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just wondering, a couple things with the facilities and environmental support services. What's the actual number of reduction in staff in that area?
So through you, Chair Green, Trustee McDonald, you asking for in the facilities and environmental?
Yes.
So I believe there's a reduction of a general manager, facilities manager, and I believe around 40 custodial staff and 20 school attendant staff.
Okay.
As compared to the last year's budget.
Okay, thank you very much for that. And then with the research department,
Yes.
in the list for the summer of operating expenses, where would they fall under that list?
Again, through Chair, Trustee McDonald, are you asking the business cases that being approved for research?
No, when you had, yeah, just a summary of operating expenses.
Well, once the board approves the budget, the department will have their budget for the year. So that will be part of their department budget.
Yeah, no, I mean on this list that was the summary.
Yes.
Of yeah, where on this list are they?
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay, try to look through that. Again, through you, Chair, Trustee Mino, are you talking about the way that we have listed the business cases?
No, it's called summary of operating expenses. It's
Oh.
page 11 in the proposed operation and capital budget.
Okay. Yes. All right. So I'm looking at the page 11. So what's the question? Sorry. Can you repeat it?
Where
please?
is the research department in this list?
Oh, there's, sorry, it's listed as innovation and international programs. Research team is part of that department.
Okay, thank you. I just wonder where they were. Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So it's already approved. Trustee Davy.
So the proposed budget motion, be it resolved that the total consolidated operating expense budget for 2024-2025 of $2,126,117,058 be approved, subject to the Ministry of Education's approval, and that the total capital budget for 2024-2025 of $104,984,694 be approved, and that in order to balance the 2024-2025 operating budget, the use of $10,956,548 from the working fund reserve be approved.
Okay, this is a budget, so it's a recording vote. So I'm going to ask trustees that are in.
Sorry, I'd like to speak to the motion though. Yeah,
Okay.
people would like to speak to the motion.
And you need a seconder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll second it.
Yeah. But let me finish, because it's a budget motion. We will ask trustee to stand when we are going to vote for the motion. Okay, if you're in favor of the budget. All right. Okay. All right. Now, so trustee B. McDonald has his hands up first to speak to the motion.
Yeah, thank you, Chair, and appreciate this time. Over the last 2 years, I've been the Budget Chair Committee and worked with our trustees, staff, and hearing great presentation stuff. And I just can't thank the staff enough. And I don't think it's really, seen in the budget, but last year at the Budget Committee, we had a budget that came in around 29 million deficit. And we went and we've heard earlier from the chair and director that we had to borrow into reserves to bring it up to and we balanced a budget because of that. And thank goodness we had reserves. But the staff did their diligence over the year to find ways to find that 29 million. In a declining enrollment, that gets bigger. We can look at other boards in the province to see how that's been playing out. So when we had that first pass of the budget come to us, just kind of when the GSNs were kind of being released, we were kind of a balanced budget. And so I just can't thank the staff and every department that did the work they had to do to balance the budget. And then with the business cases that came to us, it gave us the opportunity to use the reserves to actually fund projects that focused, and I appreciate the, and I comment as myself, I appreciate the business cases that came that were focused around our strategic plan of academic achievement, equity and inclusion, safety and mental health, and community engagement. And that allowed us to focus our decisions on those priorities and spend the money, as we saw, bringing in 10 million of reserves to make that happen. And so I can't thank the staff, but also the trustees and everyone involved, associations and the presentations, delegations we had. So I can't thank you enough. And just have one comment. I think one of your last slides talking about the underfunding of our spec ed. That, it's 44 million. What does that mean? We're taking 45 million from other buckets in our board to fund special education, that the government is not funding us. If we pass the motion, we have added 125 EAs. That's special education that's coming from a reserve fund, but the need is so much greater than that. But we don't have the money, and that 45 million, if we got it, would allow us to put a lot more money towards special education and return money to the various areas that allow us to promote more initiatives. So if the government is, as I've heard earlier, the government is listening, please fund us appropriately to our special education need. These children deserve it. We are overfunding and taking money from other places to make sure it's done, but that's robbing other areas that definitely deserve the money. Anyway, thank you, Chair. I'll be voting for this motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd also like to compliment our COO and Associate Director, Jess Paul Gill, and our wonderful staff for putting the budget together, sitting in our closed session meetings where we went line by line by line to find money and find solutions to continue the great work that we're doing, was certainly appreciated from my end. And to echo the sentiment that was heard earlier, the 40 some odd million dollar shortfall that we had to find is unacceptable. There are a lot of families that are going without. I think everyone can understand the economic situation that the province is in, that the country's in. But that being said, I sincerely hope that the Ministry of Education, Minister Todd Smith, is listening in tonight, because as Trustee B. McDonald said, that $45 million would go a long way for us. So I sincerely hope that in the year ahead, we see some changes. Thank you.
Thank you. Could say it all, repeat. Thank you to the staff. Thank you to Associate Director Gill and Controller Alatisha Charles and your staff. I know what you have been through and we put you through, but thank you for all of your help. I would say that it's too passive a model from my last two colleagues who spoke about, we hope the minister is listening. And I'm going to say it again, that this should be our time, fix the formula 2.0, that we need to have a model of approach where our parents speak with us, our MPPs speak with us, other boards could speak with us. We need a movement that is much more assertive than the passive model. I hope that someone's listening. We need that money, and we have people in need. And we're increasing, in spite of the fact that our enrollment is dropping, we are increasing in numbers of schools. Malala Yousafzai will move into its new building in September. Mount Pleasant number 9 is under construction. We have $32.5 million from the ministry for Mayfield West Phase 2 that we committed. We'd have a shovel in the ground by 2025, sometime in 2025. So we have structures being added to our busy board. But we need help. With that brings additional needs for our students. So Chair, I'm going to say it again. I want us to consider seriously when we come back to look at a model where we used once before, fix the formula, where we got some help and we got lots of attention and we included a lot of people in that voice moving forward. So I too will be supporting this. Look, it's never right because we don't have a blank check, which we need, but it is the best we could do with what we have, I believe, and I will be voting in favor of it. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I'd like to thank AD Gill and Tanya Latisse Charles and the entire team that worked to prepare this budget. But unfortunately, I will not be supporting it as I have grave concerns regarding the allocation of funds, the most glaring of which is nearly $1.5 million for the innovation department when the spec ed department has been decimated, in my opinion. I've been inundated with concern from parents regarding cuts directly impacting students and their basic needs. How can we be innovative if our students don't have basic literacy skills? I cannot in good conscience support this increase in budget for innovation, which appears to be at the expense of supporting essential basic needs for students. The director's office did not lead by example and made any significant cuts. The name of the game is tightening one's belts. I say lead by example. Why does the PDSB, which almost is half the size of the TDSB, have 4 ADs, while other boards are comparable, have 3 ADs? The salary of 1 AD could fund desperately needed spec ed staff or custodial staff. I cannot accept a budget that supports increased busing for regional learning choices, but cancels busing for Black students to the UTM partnership due to lack of funds. I've been trying to ascertain the number spent on legal fees settlements, and to date, I've not been able to get definite answers. I know other colleagues have been asking the same. In some cases, I'm told that we are not even allowed to know who lawyers or law firms are. This is totally unacceptable and is not transparent. This fund is taken away from student learning. Again, we have to remember why we were under supervision. $350,000 increase in legal fees does not sit well with me, especially fresh out of supervision. This money should be better served on students. Thank you for the increase in the social workers by the complement of 2, but the reduction of psychoeducational consultants is unacceptable. There are kids waiting for over 2 years to get assessed, especially kids thought to be gifted, as they are always considered they will be okay, when countless studies show that such kids have high suicide and dropout rates. Their needs to be met. This budget does not do that. Often these kids cannot even get an IEP delaying admittance to the program and denied contained programs. All contained power reading programs were closed, and these kids are not getting the full support, but they are withdrawn. PDSC purchased this model from sick kids. Now the kids are not, they are pulled out in the language program, not fully meeting their needs, in my humble opinion. Literacy is the key to everything. Reduction in the Human Resources Office, reduction in equity, indigenous education and commitment of engagement, safety and well-being, almost 25% reduction, commitment to public education, community and public education reduction, 38%, all areas that were of grave concern in the PDSB review. But we have an increase in the ICE, an area which caused me great trauma. We have an increase in leadership development. I see this as also being anti-Black. When I see what's being cut and who will impact it, it is anti-Black, is anti-Indigenous, and anti-equity. I look at every department under the organization is supervised by a Black woman, has been cut, not to mention the disparity in the workload. There's a reduction in equity, spec ed, safety and well-being, and community. I told it's an operational and to stay out, but I cannot support a budget like that. And it doesn't adequately serve all its members. Thank you. I will not be supporting the budget.
Yeah, thank you through you, Chair. Hopefully you guys can all hear me. We've had, certainly feels like we, over the past 4 to 6 years. The entire board has been rebuilt, and we are still feeling the growing pains. We've seen a peak just like a couple years before I became elected in the the enrollment, and now we're on the second year of a downward slope. My concern is that I'm certainly grateful for the improved status of EAs, but for marginalized communities. And I certainly hope that the Ministry of Ontario, the Education Ministry of Ontario, is not relying on shrinking enrollment in order to help us, balance our budget. What we need is just more money, and we've all, I'm certainly believe we've all said that. And I have to wonder: is Ministry of Education too complicated a problem for the provincial government to be able to deal with? But I will be supporting the budget, and I certainly hope that we can all work together to better address the continued issues affecting marginalized staff and marginalized communities across the board. Because it's great, we pat ourselves on the back. We've done a lot for inclusion and equity, but we still have to keep doing it, and we have to keep our eyes on each other and make sure that we fulfill our, the stated goals of the board. Okay, I'll be supporting the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, trustees, for your comments. Those in favor of the motion, please stand. Okay, Trustee Davey, once you call your name, you said. No, she's not. No. You just call in the name that's standing. Is Trustee Cole online? Can we see Trustee Cole? Trustee Cole? Okay, she put her hands up. Yeah, she supported the motion. Okay, all right, thank you. Those opposed, stand. Any abstention? Motion passed. The budget is approved. Thank you. Okay. Okay, trustee, down to communications on the 13. Number 14, trustee motion for consideration. On the 14.1, we have the proposed amendment to the board procedure bylaws. Okay, trustee Alv is moving this, and trustee Johal is seconding it. Okay, I'll read it as it's on the floor. Be it resolved that the following amendment is made to the procedure by law. That the board and committee meetings on Red Dot Day are open red dot days identified in the Peel District School Board Fate Creed calendar will be held on another time. Under Section 8.3, delegation process. Requests for delegation. Delegation must be submitted for delegation request form as follows. Requests must be received a minimum of 48 hours prior to the commencement of the standing or statutory committee meeting. For example, board standing and statutory committee meeting agendas are generally posted on the board public website by 4:30 p.m. the Friday prior to a meeting to be held in the following Wednesday. In this case, delegation request form will be received up until 4:30 p.m. on the Monday prior to the meeting. Alternatively, timeline may be considered or required with the approval of the committee chair or chair of the board for the purpose of recognizing statutory holiday or red dot day or open red dot day that identify in the Peel District School Board Fate and Creed calendar. That's the motion. All those in favor? Okay. Oppose? Approve. Carries. Thank you. (15) There's no trustee motion. And 16, adoption of the closed session report. Trustee Johal, Trustee Jill Promede is moving that for me. All those in favor? Thank you. All right. And then we're going to go down to 17, and we're going to have student and staff success. Not today. All right. So there's none. All right. So, trustees, the last one for the year until August. Everybody want to do that. Okay. I just want to say thank you. Thank you again. Thank you to everyone. You know, we have our challenges, but we all came together. We worked together. And somebody from the ministry said to me recently, we don't have to like each other, but we have the integrity of the board that we must uphold. We must continue the work that we have to do to ensure that our students are succeeding and achieving. And today has proven one more time that when we come together and work as a team, we get much, much work done. Thank you very much. All right. So, one from my left, one from my right. Hold on. Okay, Jill, Carla. All those in favor of adjournment. Thank you. Have a great summer.